Tilton, good morning. Mr. Tilton, you're here for first appearance. You've been accused of 3 charges. You've been accused of 2 counts of grand theft, 1 count of criminal mischief over $200, but less than $1,000. Mr. Tilton, I've read the complaint. There is probable cause in these cases. I've also noticed the dates of the cases are about 4 years ago. So I'm aware of that. Mr. Tilton, I'm going to see if the attorneys have any additional information before I address your bond. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. I also noted your criminal history and your prior Department of Corrections history. Mr. McDaniel, anything on behalf of Mr. Tilton?
Nothing, Your Honor. We don't have any lien history.
Thank you, Ms. Brimmer.
Your Honor, the state would ask for a reasonable bond and no contact with the victim.
Thank you. Mr. McDaniel, does your client prefer a cash bond given there's allegedly restitution owed, or does he prefer a surety bond?
Cash, Your Honor.
Mr. Tilton, I'm going to set you the normal bond I would set for these charges for someone with no local ties that I can tell, and your criminal history. That's going to be $500 each on the grand thefts, cash only, $250 cash on the criminal mischief. That's a misdemeanor charge. Your total bond, Mr. Tilton, is $1,250 cash. Mr. Tilton, you will get a chance to use the phone in just a few minutes to try to post the bond. Mr. Tilton, your bond has a condition that you have no contact with the alleged victim, Mr. James Stone. So if you do post bond, or whether you do or not, you can have no contact with Mr. Stone, and you will get to use the phone in just a few minutes. Mr. Tilton, do you have any questions?
No, sir. That $1,250, that's total
Cash.
cash.
$1,250 cash. That's for all the 3 charges. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good day, sir. Antoine Watford is next. Mr. Watford, good morning. Mr. Watford, you're here because that warrant we were kind of anticipating did come through on the violation of state probation charge. I'm going to arraign you this morning, Mr. Watford, because I want to get you a lawyer appointed in that VOP as soon as we can. So if you tell me you want to have an attorney appointed, we're going to appoint one today. Do you want an attorney appointed to represent you in that charge, Mr. Watford?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Listen to Mr. McDaniel, and we're going to see if we can give you a court date and some more information.
Your Honor, on the 2 felony cases, we're going to enter a plea of not guilty. Asked to set them both on the August 22nd pretrial docket. I've already told him that Mr. Guy Green will come by and visit him and talk to him about the case prior to the hearing. They also make it another attorney later on if the state proceeds with those other charges.
Ms. Bremer, anything from the state?
Nothing, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Watford, August 22nd is going to be your court date in the VOP. You also will find out where things stand in your new cases on that date. They may or may not be filed by then, but you'll at least get the VOP case moving. And Mr. Green will come see you before your court date. Mr. Watford, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Have a good day, sir. Justin Burns. Mr. Burns, good morning. Mr. Burns, you're here for first appearance. You have 2 issues. You have a local charge of resisting an officer without violence, and then you have a holdout of Calhoun County. Let me tell you about the Calhoun County case first. I looked at it, and it looks like it's a warrant for, let's see.
Violation of state probation.
Violation of state probation. It's a no bond warrant, I believe. Is that right, Mr. McDaniel?
Correct.
So you've got a no bond warrant out of Calhoun. That's a grand theft case you're on probation down there for. So you've got no bond out of Calhoun. Mr. Burns, you're entitled to a bond here based on your history, the fact that you're on probation. Your bond here is going to be $5,000 cash or surety on the resisting without violence. There is probable cause in the complaint. So, Mr. Burns, if you post the bond here, you will then go and deal with Calhoun County. If you're not able to post the bond here, we will see you at an upcoming court date. And Mr. McDaniel, what court date do you want him scheduled for in the misdemeanor, assuming he doesn't post bond?
September 6th, and I have a notice to appear that I had him sign already. So it's September 6th at 8:30.
Now, is that an out of custody date or an in custody date?
That's in custody, but if my theory is if he does bond out, he's still going to be in custody in Calhoun County. So we don't have to deal with it on the 28th no matter what.
So, Mr. Burns, if you post bond, that court date will change, but that'll be your date if you're still there in our jail. Mr. Burns, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Have a good day, sir. September 6th is the in custody arraignment date. Yeah. Let me see. So there's no bond in Calhoun. $5,000 bond here. Last case is, I believe it's Sassy Kumar, Carver Murray. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Corporal, I sent a text, and I haven't got a response back. I know you don't have good cell reception when you're inside the jail out there. Well, Corporal was outside the room there. Corporal,
Yes, sir.
I sent you a text this morning, and I don't have a response yet. But what's missing in Mr. How do you say your last name, sir?
What?
Sir, how do you say your last name?
Karamari.
Karamari. Mr. Karamari, what's missing in this packet, Corporal, is there's no written confirmation from the state of Missouri that they're going to transport. And that's something we always have. So I sent a text asking if the jail has that. Do you have confirmation of transport?
Yes, sir. That's what I was looking for this morning. That's why it took me so long to get everything to you. But I did find it. I just forgot to bring a copy to you. I have one here for them.
So the state of Missouri has told law enforcement in writing that they're going to come and get him. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Carver Murray, I know that you've had a chance to talk to Mr. McDaniel about the waiver of extradition process. Do you have any questions about that process, sir?
No, sir.
No questions? And do you wish to waive extradition to the state of Missouri, or do you want to contest it?
Going to Missouri.
I could not understand what you said.
Going to Missouri.
I have no idea what you said, sir. Do you want to waive extradition, or do you want to contest it, or do you need a translator or interpreter?
No, can I take any help of translate?
So,
Yes, sir. I'm gonna waive.
he said,
Mr.
yes,
McDaniel,
sir,
what
I'm
do you
going
say?
to waive. He said, yes, sir, I'm going to waive.
Okay,
His
do you wanna
English is
waive
not
it?
great, but I've spoken with him. You know, he's read all the documents. I've went over with him. He wants to waive extradition and go ahead and go to Missouri. I've had extensive conversations with him.
Okay, sir, you do want to go back to Missouri, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McDaniel has a waiver of extradition form there for you to sign.
He just signed it.
Oh, did he? Okay, I didn't even see him sign it. He signed it since he's come up in front of me?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Kumar, here's what's going to happen next. Is that form will go to the state of Missouri, sir. They'll be notified that they have 30 days to pick you up under interstate compact law. Mr. Kumar, I review the cases after 15 days, and we ask them to pick you up within 15 days. So if you're still in our jail 15 days from now, you'll come back to first appearance. I will see you. I will ask the jail where we stand on transport, and you will hear everything I hear. If, on the other hand, if you're already gone within 15 days, I will not see you again. But your 30 days, the 30 days they have to pick you up starts today. Mr. Carver Murray, do you have any questions?
Can I explain? I'm a student here.
No. It's no other questions, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Wish you the best, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, man.
Mr. McDaniel, I think that's it for our first appearance cases, other than the add-on case, Mr. Jackson in the courtroom. Mr. Jackson, come on up, please. Ma'am, if you'll come up too, please. Mr. McDaniel, this is a request for contact. I think you may be familiar with the case, are you?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Okay. So Mr. Jackson's here in case 23-445CF. Mr. Jackson's been accused of one count of battery on a person 65 years of age or older. The alleged victim, I believe, is also here. And your name, ma'am? Jackson. Ms. Jackson, what I'm going to do is ask you to raise your right hand, and then we're going to ask you a question. Ms. Jackson, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Ms. Jackson, you're the alleged victim in Mr. Jackson's case, is that right?
Right.
And I remember from first appearance, it was a long-time marriage with very little, maybe no criminal history. How long have you been married?
44 years this month.
Okay, and so when he got arrested back July 26th, there's been no contact allowed since then because we weren't sure what your position was. Are you wanting to have contact now?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, are you in any fear from Mr. Jackson?
No.
And was this an isolated incident? Has it ever happened before? Has law enforcement ever been called before that they did not make an arrest?
No.
Okay. But you're not being forced or pressured into asking for contact. This is what you want to do. Has he violated the no contact order in any way since he got out of jail? Okay. I'm going to ask the prosecutor, Ms. Bremer, if she has any questions for you. Ms. Bremer?
Your Honor, you covered everything that I was going to ask.
Thank you. Mr. McDaniel, any questions for Ms. Jackson?
No, Your Honor.
And you do want to
Well,
come
I
back
mean,
home?
Is she getting help for him for his, I guess, are they got some kind of help for him for his Alzheimer's or, I mean, is any kind of, just out of curiosity?
Was this related to Alzheimer's?
No, I don't think so. I think more depression, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me
I
read
was thinking.
let me refresh my memory again by reading the whole complaint instead of just scanning it. Okay. The statement that concerns me that's in the complaint is that he allegedly said, well, the complaint actually says she then brought up a divorce, to which she stated that he said, if you do that, I'll just take us both out. So obviously that's going to make me concerned. Did he say that?
Yes.
Do you think he was just angry or frustrated? Do you think he meant that?
No.
Okay. You're not in fear at all.
No.
Do you have children together?
No.
No children?
Mm-mm.
I can't, if you want to talk on the,
I have 4 and he has.
if you want to get on, Mr. Gibson, I just don't know if Mr. McDaniel can hear you when there's no microphone over there. There used to be a microphone in the middle, but when they redid the courtroom, they took it away. So Mr. McDaniel, Mr. Goodson had something to add. He knows a little bit more about it than I do.
I'd spoken to Mr. Jackson's niece, Kelly Van Huss, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Jackson, but she did come down Tuesday to see me, and she had saw the state. She had told me she filled out a request to drop charges, said she wanted contact. I called Mr. Billy Jackson and asked him, did he want contact? He did. So I went and talked to you, and you said they both needed to be here. We set it up for this morning. My understanding is they have a 5.5-year-old grandson that they raise. Is that correct?
Not anymore.
Okay. Well, that's
They
not,
come and took him away.
okay.
Okay. All right. Mr. Jackson, do you want to have contact?
Yes.
Okay. You want to go home and work through this, correct? Okay. What's the state's position, Ms. Bremer?
Your Honor, the state will defer to your discretion.
Mr. McDaniel, anything you want to add, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, I don't want to go from memory. I want to make sure my memory is correct. You have little or no prior history before this, correct? Never been charged with a crime at all, correct? Okay. What I'm going to do is at Ms. Jackson's request, I want to change the condition of no contact to a condition of no violent contact. So, Mr. Jackson, if you want to go home, you want to work through this, that's fine. Just no violent contact. If there is a violation of that, you need to notify law enforcement immediately, Ms. Jackson. If you get to a point where things are getting out of hand again, Mr. Jackson, it's going to be better just to go your separate ways than let it get to this point that it allegedly got to this time. Okay, so you certainly can go back home. I want to make sure we're on the same page on a court date. So let's see, Mr. Jackson, if you have a court date set, because I want to make sure you know about it if you do. I have an arraignment date of September 5th. Now, where that was sent to, I'm not sure without opening up and looking because you're not in the home. Did you know about the court date of September 5th? You know about that. September 5th at 9 o'clock in front of Judge Garcia. You know about that. Okay. Do you have any questions, Mr. Jackson?
That's still outstanding. I mean,
Right now, that court date is still outstanding. The state attorney's office has formally charged you. Now, given your history, Ms. Jackson's input, what they will do, I have no idea. But as we sit here today, that's still the court date. Now, sometimes they'll keep the case open a little while and make sure there's no problems. And then if she wants to dismiss it, they dismiss it eventually. Sometimes they'll dismiss it right away. Just kind of depends on the circumstances, how serious they are. The prosecutor's going to be concerned about that statement that he allegedly made, obviously. But as of right now, you still got that court date, September 5th, in front of Judge Garcia. Any other questions? Ma'am, do you have any questions? All right, thank you both for coming today and getting it all on the record, okay?
You still are on the colleague or when, like you said.
As of right now, you still are. And Ms. Bremer's not the prosecutor in the case, I'm sure, because it's a felony case, is that right?
Your Honor.
So I don't know where it's going from here. I can tell you who the prosecutor is, though. Have you spoken to the prosecutor, Ms. Jackson? Did you ask to drop the charges, or did you just ask for contact? You asked to drop. The prosecutor's Mr. Gill. Mr. Lawrence Gill with the State Attorney's Office is a prosecutor. So that's the person you need to talk to if you haven't. But as it,
To the woman in there.
She came on later today, so he was in court.
but as of right now, it's still pending, and that's not unusual. That doesn't mean that they're trying to send you to jail or prison. It just means as of right now, it's still pending.
Is
Okay.
there any chance maybe of completely dropping the whole
That-
thing?
That's up to the prosecutor. The State Attorney's Office has that authority to do that.
Would
It's,
that
it's
take it
their
off
call.
his record?
Well, if it's dismissed, there's not a conviction on his record. What is on his record is an arrest and a charge. So he would have to get that expunged to get that off of his record. But even if it's dismissed today, the charge and the arrest are still on his record unless it's expunged. But there's no conviction there because he's not been convicted, ma'am.
What do you do to
He
expunge?
files some paperwork with the state of Florida, gets a certificate from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and then that gets filed with the clerk of court in Jackson County, and it goes before the judge sentencing him. If he has no prior history, he has the right to have it expunged if it's dismissed, but not until it's dismissed. Any other questions, ma'am? All right, thank you both for coming. Okay, now take care. All right. Mr. McDaniel, that's everything I had on the docket this morning. Anything else from the Public Defender's Office?
No, Your Honor.
And Corporal, anything else from the jail?
No, sir, that's everything.